Assalamu alaikum. President Touray, I would call it.
Thank you.
I know we once had President Guinea-Conakry. So Gambia also
and many kings of the past.
Yes. Okay.
Many kings who are Tourays.
Yes.
Mansakanka Musa was a Touray man.
Yes.
Askia Mohammed the Great was a Touray man. Samori Touray
was a Touray man. Yes.
We have Ameseku Touray, was a Touray man. And the last one was one Amatumane Touray. Yeah. So it's our long tradition.
Inshallah.
So I can see the Tourays have been monsters in this continent.
Yes.
For in the past years. Today, lawyer Bori S,
yes.
Like Kamaraba say,
yes.
President to be Bori S,
yes.
is standing before the journalists here in Manjai.
Yes.
Mr. Touray, you've been inside, you spent almost an hour.
Yes.
How was the interview? How active was the interview?
I enjoyed the interview. It was on a broad spectrum of politics in the country. We had to ravage through the economy, we had to ravage through the law, we had to ravage through the current contemporary political situation, more especially the current situation within the Democratic Party. Yes, it was a very gratifying, fulfilling interview I had with him.
Being a lawyer for who has served this country as a magistrate, now a legal practitioner in the court.
Indeed.
Gambians are complaining a lot about some of the bad laws we have in this country.
Yes.
If you become the president of the republic, how prepared are you in terms of legal reform?
Well, we have the Law Reform Commission. We have the Law Reform Commission, but it's not being utilized. Every country that has been able to successfully review its laws would normally have to invest a lot of money into research, put a lot of resources into research so as to be able to get the archaic laws modified over the period. The case in point is this Public Order Act. We've been complaining about it. Within the West African sub-region, most governments have repealed their Public Order Act. And not only the Public Order Act. If you look at our law books, some laws dating as far back as 16th century here in the Gambia. So we don't, as we talk now, have a comprehensive regime on land administration. We don't, as we talk now, have a comprehensive code that embodies every form of crime that can be committed within a country. A criminal code is not complete. There are many, many crimes which have not been codified, which have not been legislated in this country. So if we want to move forward, a lot of work needs to be done, a lot of investment needs to be done, and the courts needed to be expanded. Today we are faced with challenges of personnel in the High Court, challenges of personnel in the Supreme Court, challenges of personnel in the Magistrate Courts. In the High Court bench alone, I have the view that we need no less than 21 judges or more. Because unless we expand, we take the bold step of expanding the judiciary, we will not be able to expeditiously hear and conclude cases.
Corruption is one of the things every government is complaining. How are you going to tackle corruption in this country?
There are many ways of tackling corruption. The National Audit Office should be given direct police powers. If you do audit exercise, you come across malpractices. You don't have to wait for your boss to give you, you don't have to wait for your boss, you don't have to wait for the president for you to be able to take action. From the very point when you have stumbled over malpractices, financial misappropriation, you should be able to have power. That's my opinion. You should be able to have power to effect arrest there and then. You, the very auditor, you should have police powers. Arrest there and then, conclude your investigation, level charges against the person, and bring him before the court. So it is my fervent opinion that the National Audit Office should have all the powers statutorily given to it given to the police and the Ministry of Justice. That is one. All right? When you look at, there are so many civilized ways of corrupt practices that have been legitimized within the government system. Allowances, for instance. I am a permanent secretary. I'm being paid salary, whether I sit in my office as permanent secretary or whether I sit on a board. Because when you look at the composition of the boards of most of these parastatals or government institutions, the composition sometimes you would, in the composition, sometimes they would say permanent secretary, fisheries, permanent secretary, lands, permanent secretary, interior are all members. So it is my fervent belief that paying allowances to those people for the sitting that they are doing by virtue of their membership of the board, they are not exercising any other function other than their function as permanent secretaries for the respective ministries which they are leading. So paying them allowance which goes way beyond 2-3 times, way beyond this ordinary salaries paid to them, for me really, that kind of practice should stop. That kind of practice should stop. And then we need legislations also in place, Anti-Corruption Act. We need a task force. We need structures on the ground. When you create the enabling law, you need to put on the ground enforcement mechanism for you to be able to implement it. Because if you create a law, you don't create the enabling environment, you don't appoint the necessary personnel who are going to enforce the law, then it becomes meaningless. It becomes meaningless. And whistleblowers should also be given protection. People should be encouraged. Anytime you see corrupt practice in any form, we report it. And people should also be rewarded for coming up, giving information on any form of illicit activity in the country. You understand? So that people will become more careful. If we enjoy impunity, then we will not be able to fight corruption. But we will not be able to prosecute every single corruption act. But if we are able to at least prosecute 45% or 50%, that is going to serve as a great deterrent against corruption in this country.
I mean, Kamarwa, if you have a question, please.
I want to ask you, that is, I've been asking all the other contenders, what agitated you to vie for this position, especially on the United Democratic Party? And you are a lawyer.
I don't think anything has agitated me. Looking at the constitution of the United Democratic Party, every member of that party has a right to offer himself for the position of flag bearer. And I've been a member of the United Democratic Party from its very founding. I've not been a founder member, I must be honest. And I've not been a card-bearing member from its inception, but I've always been a member. A member in the sense that I have always been supportive of the United Democratic Party and have paid my I've paid contributions towards the party at my own local level in Joshua. You know, several years even before I became a member of the executive. Yes.
Also, I want to ask this question.
And then again, let me also add this. Currently today in the Gambia, we have a challenge of leadership. We have a challenge of leadership, serious challenge of leadership. Yes.
You are a lawyer, behind the bars or in front of a court law. This is politics. Is Bori ready to receive that punch is coming when he becomes a politician?
I think what I have received as a magistrate and what I have received as a barrister, private legal practitioner, I don't think that anything is going to be much more challenging than that. We have braved the storms when Jammeh was here. We have been faced with turbulent moments and we have been able to salvage our image. We have been able to enforce the law, protect our people, stand by the rule of law against all odds. Yes. So.
What was a felony by what
Banko pay tentu. Drink carton for koina. Kanita molako. The political wattle too, as far as the United Democratic Party is concerned. Tekonamu ni banko dimoniti. Nungani madam Gambia, carton for koina. Mota for the intelligent cookie jamia no kamini. have a clean record. So suma mbokki olof yi maa ngi leen a sant kàddu bi koy na man la lawyer Bori Touray maa ngi am pas-pas pour taxaw pour laajte place yi flag bearer for the United Democratic Party suma mbokki fana si kaw yi suma mbokki pël yi bandiraɓe my greetings to them all. We have one family. Gambia is one family. Yes. For those of us who are citizens of this country, if you look at the demographic composition and the demographic relationships between our people, Gambia is one family. We have intermarried across all tribal lines. We have been involved in social activities across tribal lines. When somebody dies, there's no tribal differentiation. When there is a incentive, it's for the involvement of all those who are within the neighborhood. Everyone will participate. So we have one country and we only have a patriotic spirit to foster that bond of love, to foster that bond of commitment to the plight of our neighbors, to the plight of our brothers. So it is only when we demonstrate a high degree of patriotism and live above pettiness, prejudice, that we'll be able to move this country, that we'll be able to see that we should be our brother's keeper, as the Bible would say, be thy brother's keeper. Yeah. And then on the religious side also, the three conventional religions of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism practically share the same, share a common heritage. This is a very peaceful nation, and there has been a great deal of religious tranquility in this country. We will also seek to foster that, to continue to ensure that the rapprochement that has been built, that culture of tolerance, that culture of forbearance, that culture of love and affection for one another, without regard to tribe, without regard to religion, without regard to region, we will also endeavor to foster that, to build and consolidate on it. In the recent past, we have seen infractions of it, very serious infractions of it. But as statesmen, if we come into power, we will do everything that is necessary to ensure that we stabilize that very ugly, we rectify that very ugly scenario that has unfolded, and we stabilize the social cohesion that has existed among Gambian people.
Bori, ñu ngi labo na Karola. Mbajo ma siring base. Kamara ba ñu la sarodo. I mean, left side ni mbajo ma kacha. Ya fu mbajo ma minatina ite Bori. Ibe nyim palaso ñu kan. Minatina yelana so ka ñu UDP kono. Anu ning UDP ngol fana latela. Ite Bori ibe nyafita la nyadile anu itara interview la interview ni molul ba foko ko UDP manka Democratic Party bari ya interview ni ya ye nyaadile lefta dron ye nyimbe nyap nyokan ya jabiro kulumba jom ma fana asa radio mala ay ñu kuma kan wala mo.
Okay, interview alhamdulillah la kutale yemeni ni kan yanta woli ni kala ba ni mo ya fam bo akala fta banko le marala mayana skala ya la bloko nyata kachande la ya hakilo jibe mo sifale fo daji ko balal fo aba batatan fo alondo babul fo awulu nya fana balal wayatina interview ni alhamdulillah ala kutal yo nimbe jabila karodola te na Democratic Party dingole mot yo lunga aje kaf ko banko dingole monti comme nga fu ñam commento ngani madam malke ni mbang te molti me do ko Gambia bring carton fu koyna bawol kaf na ndunta in the nooks and crannies sirin kandi woni beda ko lati jante man dami to ma ngani mbang ko jayle na do ko fanan ngani madam mala fana ki jang kam wala problem so fana lonne tundolu men ya lokko wala no la dete ko de lonne nga ngani sotole nga mo kende ya sotole nga sabaro sotole nga fatiya sotole nga tilingo sotole pour ga gambe kane
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.